funny, isn't it? The way people think they're alone. Like no one sees the scars, the late nights, the silent battles fought behind smiles and polite nods. They walk around wounded, armored in sarcasm and distractions, hoping no one notices the limp in their soul. But see, the universe has this odd sense of timing. Just when the vultures start circling, when the crowd gets louder with their opinions and their judgments and their accusations, someone appears. Not in shining armor, no, nothing that glamorous, usually quiet, unassuming, a face in the blur. But their presence feels like thunder in a room full of whispers. They thought the ambush was a surprise. They thought the chaos would catch you off guard, shake your spine loose, scatter your purpose like ash in the wind. But the joke's on them. See, the trap wasn't the first move, it was a reaction. A response to something already in place. Protection. Assigned. Sealed. Signed in. Silence long before the plot even brewed. That's what they didn't see. That while they were planning your fall, something bigger was standing over your shoulder. Already 10 moves ahead, already laughing at their little schemes like children drawing war plans with crayons. Oh, they thought you were vulnerable. Exposed, easy prey. Maybe because you looked tired. Maybe because you stopped explaining yourself. Maybe because you let them talk and didn't fire back. And in their small little minds, silence equals surrender, weakness. But the real ones know when you're quiet, it's not fear. It's setup. It's watching. It's letting them bury themselves in assumption while protection sharpens its blade behind the curtain. Not flashy, not loud, but surgical, precise, timed so well it almost looks accidental now. Let's talk about timing, shall we? Everyone loves the idea of perfect timing when things fall into place. When the right person shows up, when the storm clears right before the boat sinks. But timing, real timing, divine timing, it doesn't care about your comfort. It lets you sit in the fire just long enough for the enemies to dance. Long enough for the crowd to laugh. Long enough for the liars to feel bold, safe like they've won. And then snap. Out of nowhere, someone steps in. Someone who wasn't even supposed to be watching. Someone they didn't account for. It's not just defense. No, it's strategy. It's chess while they're playing checkers. Because protection isn't always about stopping the pain. Sometimes it's about preserving the purpose in the middle of the war. Sometimes it's letting them throw the first punch so the response can be justified, documented, witnessed. Sometimes the defender shows up not to protect your image, but to protect the evidence. So when it's all said and done, when the dust clears, there's no debate about who stood where. The tables didn't just turn, they flipped out. And let's not pretend the protection looked the way you wanted it to. You were probably hoping for someone loud, someone to shout your truth, to drag your name back into the light, to make noise until justice echoed. But that's not how it works, is it? The one who was sent, they didn't need a stage, didn't need the spotlight. They showed up in silence, in loyalty, in presence. And oh, how uncomfortable that is for people who need applause to feel real. But not this one. This one wasn't sent for show. They were sent for war, for defense, for the kind of covering that doesn't post about it but bleeds for it. You didn't earn it. That's the part that stings. You didn't do anything right enough to deserve that kind of protection. You didn't pray the perfect prayer or follow some golden formula. The defense was decided before the attack. Which means someone believed you were worth protecting before you had the evidence to prove it. That's dangerous, you know. When someone's assigned to guard what you don't even see in yourself. When someone walks into your life with orders they didn't write. When someone starts blocking bullets meant for your head and doesn't even flinch. That's the kind of covering people don't know how to process. So they call it luck, or coincidence, or good energy. Because the real answer, it terrifies them, because if protection was assigned before the attack, then the attack was never in control. If the defender was already moving before the enemy even spoke, then the enemy's voice was never the loudest. And that messes with people. makes them realize their plans aren't as powerful as they thought. That for every trap, there's a counter-strike already breathing down its neck. That maybe, just maybe, their darkness has a leash. And the one holding it isn't interested in negotiations. They want you to believe the world is a lonely place. That you're stranded on an island of your own making, screaming into the void while nobody hears or cares. They sell this narrative so well, like a horror story wrapped in a self-help book, loneliness disguised as strength, isolation sold as independence. But here's the secret they don't tell you. You were never meant to fight every battle alone. No, the universe has a way of sneaking in allies, defenders, guardians disguised as strangers, disguised as friends. Sometimes disguised as just that one inconvenient person who shows up just when everything is burning. See, the idea that you have to carry the weight alone. That's a lie designed to break you down and make you question everything you are. It's the kind of whisper that echoes in the dead of night, making you doubt your worth, your ability, your purpose. But the truth, the brutal, untamed truth, is that someone was sent. Someone was dispatched to stand in the gap when your knees buckled, to fight your fights when your hands were too tired to lift a weapon, to protect your dreams when the shadows crept too close. Because the cosmos doesn't operate on solo runs. It's a team sport, even if your ego forgot the rulebook. Think about it. How many times did you feel on the brink, ready to fall, and suddenly a voice, a presence, a touch shifted the tides? You thought it was luck or coincidence or just random kindness, but that was defense. That was intervention. That was someone, sometimes unseen, some barely heard, sent to remind you that you're not as alone as you think. Not because you begged for backup or sent out an SOS. No, because there's a force bigger than your fear, bigger than your pain, bigger than the chaos that decided your fight wasn't yours to carry alone. This isn't about dependence either. It's not weakness to accept help. It's strategy. It's humility wrapped in armor. It's knowing when to let someone else carry the weight so you can save your strength for what truly matters. But so many people get this twisted. They think asking for help is failure. They think being defended is surrender. But what if it's the exact opposite? What if the real victory is in recognizing the defender is already standing in the shadows? The real win is in trusting the unseen hands holding your fate together when you can't. And these defenders, they don't always arrive in a blaze of glory. Sometimes they come quietly, a steady presence in the chaos, a whisper in your ear, a reminder that the war is already won for those who refuse to fight alone. Sometimes they show up as tough love, the kind that doesn't coddle but challenges you to rise. Sometimes they are the ones who shield your spirit from the slings and arrows of doubt, the ones who don't ask for thanks or recognition, because their mission isn't about ego, it's about you. You weren't designed to be a lone wolf scavenging in the dark. You were made to run with the pack, to rely on the strength of others when your own falters. Because defense isn't just physical, it's spiritual, emotional, mental. It's the energy that surrounds you when you feel like you're drowning, the force that pushes back when the world tries to drag you under. And when you finally realize this, when you finally stop pretending you have to be invincible all the time, you'll see the defenders were there, all along, silent, steadfast, watching your back while you thought you were bhakti. How you can walk through fire thinking you're solo, only to find out the flames were being held back by someone else's hands. How you can believe you're fighting a war on your own when really, you're just the visible piece of a much bigger strategy. And this is what scares people the most, the idea that their battles aren't isolated, that their pain isn't a private performance, that their survival depends on forces they don't see, don't hear, and maybe don't even want to acknowledge, because it means letting go of the myth of self-sufficiency. But here's the thing, when you stop fighting alone, when you start trusting the defenders sent to you, everything changes. The weight becomes lighter. The path becomes clearer. The chaos less overwhelming. Because defense is not just about protection, it's about partnership. It's about knowing that for every enemy lined up against you, there's already a force lined up in your favor. It's about surrendering the illusion of control and embracing the power of collaboration, even if that collaborator is invisible to everyone else. So Maybe it's time to stop pretending you've got to be the hero who does it all. Maybe it's time to open your eyes and see the defenders who've been standing right beside you the whole time. The ones who didn't make a scene, who didn't demand attention, who didn't ask for credit. The ones sent to make sure you don't fall apart when the world wants you to. Because when you accept that you don't have to fight every battle alone, that's when real strength begins to show, a strength built not on isolation, but on the unbreakable power of someone watching your six. They don't tell you this, but the real defenders don't wait for an invitation. They don't sit around polishing their armor, waiting for you to ask nicely or about proving. No, they move before you even know you need them. Because defense isn't polite. It's not a handshake or a favor. It's a violent interruption of the enemy's plans, a sudden shift in the battlefield that throws the hunters off balance. These defenders come with a mission stamped on their soul, a mission written in a language older than time. They don't need permission to stand for you, because some battles demand a presence that's unasked for, unapologetic and unrelenting. Imagine the chaos of a street fight. The kind where everyone's shouting, fists flying, and the crowd is too busy watching to help. But then out of nowhere someone steps in, not because you waved them down or signaled SOS. No, because they saw the danger long before your eyes even registered it. They didn't ask if you wanted help. They didn't weigh the pros and cons. They just acted. That's how real defenders work. Not as spectators or critics, but as warriors assigned to the front line, ready to absorb the blows you weren't fast enough to dodge. It doesn't wait for your permission to challenge your mistakes, to call out your blind spots, to push you when you want to quit. Because obedience to the mission is greater than the need for approval. These defenders hold a mirror up to your soul and don't flinch when you see the cracks. They don't retreat when your chaos spills over. They don't walk away because you're too broken, too complicated, too complicated. No, they stay. They fight. They defend without asking if it's convenient, if you're ready, or if you're grateful. It's a wild kind of love, this defense without permission. It's the kind that scares people because it refuses to be tamed or negotiated with. It's the force that shakes your foundations, breaks your patterns, and demands you stand tall, even when because when someone is sent to defend you without asking, it means your survival is non-negotiable. Your purpose is bigger than your doubts. Your fight is part of a plan too vast for you to see. And they're here to make sure you don't get lost in the dark. You might wonder why defense shows up this way, without warnings, without contracts, without polite discussions. The answer is simple. Some threats aren't waiting for an RSVP. Some dangers move too fast, too silent, too deadly for negotiations. So the defender moves first. The defender stands guard before you even realize you're under attack. And in that movement, there's a kind of magic, a brutal, fierce magic that changes the course of the story. It's not about you having control. It's about the universe refusing to let you fall without a fight. And here's what most people miss. These defenders don't do it for applause. They don't need your thank you, your validation, or your understanding. They do it because they're part of something bigger. Because they were sent not just to shield your body, but to guard your spirit. To keep your flame alive when the winds howl. To hold the line when your own hands are too weak. Their defense is a contract written in blood and silence, binding them to your survival without room for negotiation. It's terrifying to accept this kind of defense because it strips away the illusion of control. It means surrendering to a force that doesn't ask your permission, that doesn't wait for your signal, that doesn't care if you're ready. But what if that's exactly what you need? What if the defense that doesn't wait is the only defense powerful enough to keep you standing when everything inside wants to fall apart? What if this unasked for protection is the lifeline you didn't know you were drowning for? So when someone moves to defend you without asking, remember this. It's not about your worthiness. It's about a mission too important to delay. It's about the universe's way of saying, I'm not done with you yet. And sometimes, the most powerful defense is the one that shows up before you even realize there's a war to fight. Timing now, that's a twisted little beast, isn't it? People always talk about perfect timing like it's some kind of fairy tale, a neat little package where everything falls exactly into place and the hero rides off into the sunset. But real timing is a chaotic dance with madness. It's the world laughing in your face while everything crashes down. And then just when you think it's all over, the universe throws a curveball that makes you question everything you thought you knew. The kind of timing that doesn't care about your plans, your comfort, or your sanity. It's brutal, it's messy, and it's wickedly precise. See, defenders don't arrive on cue like clockwork. They don't wait for your nod or a friendly invitation. No, they show up when the moment is soaked in darkness, when the chaos is at its loudest, when every bone in your body is screaming to give up. That's the kind of timing that makes you shiver, not because it's cruel, but because it's real. It's the universe's way of saying, you think you're alone. Think again. And suddenly, just as the last breath of hope flickers, someone steps out of the shadows and shifts the whole game without a sound. It's the team. That sudden rescue, that unexpected shield, was it really random? Or was it the perfect moment crafted by something far beyond your understanding? Because timing like this doesn't stumble into your life by accident. It's deliberate. It's designed. The kind of orchestration that laughs in the face of chaos and turns it into opportunity even if you don't see it at first. The defender's arrival isn't just about saving you, it's about rewriting the rules of the fight. And don't think for a second that this kind of timing is gentle or kind. It's often cruel. It lets you burn just enough to know what's at stake. It lets the wolves circle closer, the pressure build, the silence grow deafening. It's not about sparing you pain, it's about proving you're still standing when the world expects you to fall. That moment when the defender shows up, it's not a pity visit. It's a calculated strike. A reminder that even in your darkest hour, you're not abandoned. That someone was watching, waiting for the exact second to flip the script. You might wonder why defenders don't show up sooner, why they let you suffer, struggle, even bleed before stepping in. The truth is, timing isn't about convenience. It's about impact. It's about making sure that the intervention counts, that it changes everything in a way that mere presence at the wrong moment never could. Sometimes the right moment to defend you is when you're forced to confront your own limits, when you've exhausted every option, and the world agrees. That's when the defender moves. Not a moment sooner, and when they do, it's a jolt to the system. The kind of moment that snaps you awake from the nightmare you thought was endless. The kind of moment that shakes the foundations of your doubt and makes you see the invisible threads pulling you back from the edge. That's timing with teeth. Timing that bites just enough to remind you who's really in control. And the defender. They're the instrument of that control. The force that tilts the balance when all odds say you should have lost already. This timing defies logic and reason. It doesn't play by the rules you set. It doesn't fit your schedule or your expectations. But it's perfect in its imperfection, ruthless in its compassion. It's the hand that reaches out when you're gasping underwater, the shadow that blocks the knife you didn't see coming. It's the universe's way of saying that for every storm, there's a calm waiting just around the corner if you can survive long enough to see it. And sometimes that calm arrives in the form of someone sent to defend you at the very moment you believe all hope is lost. So, timing is not your enemy. It's the secret weapon. The unseen ally working behind the scenes, waiting to flip your story from tragedy to triumph. And when you finally grasp that, when you start to trust that the universe's timing isn't random cruelty but deliberate grace, everything changes. Because defense arriving at the right moment is not just rescue, it's revolution. It's the moment your fate flips and you realize the fight was never yours alone to win. Obedience, that word tastes bitter, doesn't it? Like swallowing something you never wanted to touch, something you resisted your whole life because it felt like chains, like shame. But what if obedience isn't about losing power? What if it's the strangest kind of power, the kind that flips the script and rewrites the rules of your survival? Because here's the rub, no one gets help until the chaos inside is put in check. Until the wild parts that scream, I won't listen, learn to sit down and pay attention. Help doesn't come as a gift to the stubborn or the defiant. It comes as a lifeline for those willing to obey the unspoken rules of their own redemption. You see, the universe isn't just watching your mess unfold for entertainment. It's waiting for you to step off the ledge of reckless defiance and step into the arena of obedience, not the obedience that kills your spirit, but the obedience that awakens it. That kind of obedience isn't about following orders blindly. It's about recognizing the signals hidden in the noise. It's about accepting that maybe your way isn't the only way, and that surrendering control sometimes means grabbing hold of something far bigger than your ego. The moment you obey, even just a little, the game changes. The rules bend in your favor, but obedience is no easy pill to swallow. It demands humility, the kind that shatters illusions of self-sufficiency. It demands a brutal honesty with yourself, a look into the mirror that reveals your weaknesses, your blind spots, your stubbornness. It's a confrontation with the parts of you that refuse to listen, that think help is weakness, that wear defiance like armor. And that armor, it's heavy. It's suffocating. It keeps the very help you need locked out. Because the harsh truth is this: help doesn't come to those who barricade themselves behind walls of pride and denial. It comes to those who lower the gates, who open the door just enough to let the light in. Think about it. How many times have you cried out for change but refused the steps that lead there? How many battles have you fought alone because you refuse to obey the quiet voice telling you to pause, to reflect, to listen? Obedience isn't about defeat. It's about strategy. It's about playing the long game when all you want is the quick fix. It's about realizing that the test isn't just about surviving chaos, but about mastering yourself enough to accept help on its own terms. And those terms, they often come wrapped in obedience, wrapped in the willingness to bend so you don't break. The funny thing is, obedience is often mistaken for weakness by those who've never tasted its true power. They see it as submission, as losing their identity. But real obedience is rebellion against chaos. It's the quiet, fierce refusal to let your world spin out of control. It's the act of taking the reins when you realize your grip wasn't strong enough before. It's the paradox of strength hidden in surrender, the kind of strength that says, I will obey this one thing so I can take back everything else. Because without obedience, help stays just out of reach. A ghost in the shadows you can't quite grasp. So what does it mean to obey this command? It means listening when you want to shout. It means trusting when you want to doubt. It means moving when you want to freeze. It means doing the hard, uncomfortable work that no one sees but that changes everything inside. Obedience is the bridge between where you are and where you were meant to go. It's the gatekeeper of transformation. And until you cross that gate, no amount of outside help can reach you. No matter how much you beg or plead in this obedience, there's a test far greater than any trial you've faced. It's the test of your willingness to surrender your ego, your fears, your control to something bigger than yourself. It's the test that separates those who stay stuck in the rubble of their own making from those who rise, who rebuild, who reclaim their destiny. Because help is waiting. It's always been waiting, but it won't enter a fortress that refuses to open the gate. It won't step into a mind that refuses to listen. It won't fight for a soul that won't obey the call. Obedience doesn't mean the end of your story. It means the beginning of a new chapter, one written not. They're not going to want you to see this. That's how you know it's real. The truth always comes wrapped in a warning label. Too dark, too dangerous, too honest. But that's the thing about truth, isn't it? It doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care if you're ready. It just shows up, bloody, broken, and laughing in your face while you scramble to cover your eyes. But not you. No. You're here, which means some part of you is already awake. Or maybe unraveling. The truth you're avoiding is the truth that will set you free. That's the joke, isn't it? Everyone wants freedom until they see the price tag. until they realize it means ripping off the mask they've worn so long. They forgot it was never their face. People clutch lies like lifelines, scared that without them, they'll drown in the emptiness they've spent their whole lives denying. They think the lie is saving them, but the lie is the poison, it's the leash, it's the padded cell they decorated to look like a home. You can almost hear it in their voices, can't you? That trembling edge beneath the laughter, that hesitation when they speak too confidently about things they don't understand. They talk about happiness like it's a destination, like if they play by the rules long enough, smile enough, sacrifice enough, suffer in silence just enough, they'll be rewarded. But deep down, they know something's off, that the script they were handed doesn't match the scenes they keep stumbling through. But rather than tear it up, they just read it louder, pretend harder, lie to themselves better. And you, sitting there, feeling like the only sane one in an insane world, you've felt it too. The pressure to play along, to dim your light just enough to not scare them, to wear the suit, say the lines, nod at the right times. But the truth keeps scratching at the back of your mind like a nail on a chalkboard. It whispers in the quiet moments, in the loneliness, in the late night reflections when everything feels just a little too quiet. You know it's there. You've always known. You've just been too afraid to look it in the eye. Because the truth, it's ugly. It's raw. It doesn't care about your feelings or your plans. It doesn't care about your comfort zone. It wants to rip you apart and put you back together as something unrecognizable to the world, but finally honest to yourself. It's not some beautiful revelation wrapped in light. No. It's the shadow behind the mirror, the thing you avoid when you lie to yourself just to make it through another day. But it's real. And real is rare. Real is dangerous. Real is what they warned you about when they told you to be careful who you listen to. Everyone's looking for a savior, someone to show them the way, but what they don't understand is there's no one coming. There's no white knight galloping in to rescue you from the prison you built with your own hands. The truth is the key, but you keep throwing it away every time it doesn't look like what you expected. You want truth to be gentle, but it's violent. It shatters illusions. It burns bridges. It ends relationships built on fantasy. But in the ashes, that's where the real you is buried. The version they told you to kill. The version they couldn't control. You want freedom? Rip the blindfold off. Stare straight into the thing you've been running from. The failure, the betrayal, the shame, the loneliness. That's where the truth lives. Not in your pretty affirmations or polished self-help books. Not in the feel-good lies sold to the masses like candy. The truth lives in the chaos, in the wreckage, in the mess you keep trying to sweep under the rug. And if you're brave enough, or broken enough, to stop running, you'll see it for what it is. The door. Not out there. Inside. They'll call you crazy for choosing the truth. They'll mock you, reject you, say you've lost your way, but really, you're just not playing the game anymore. You've seen the strings, you've heard the lies echo through the hollow cheers, and now you're done pretending, because you know the longer you avoid the truth, the longer you stay a prisoner. And the moment you face it, everything they warned you about becomes irrelevant. Because when you finally stop lying to yourself, no one can lie to you ever again. Most people are trapped in illusions they call reality. And the best part? They built those illusions themselves. They laid every brick, painted every wall, furnished it with dreams someone else sold them. And now they sit inside smiling like it's paradise. But look closer. Those smiles don't reach their eyes. That laugh, hollow. That comfort, manufactured. They don't live, they perform. Every single day, a character in someone else's script, reciting lines they don't believe in, just so no one sees how empty it really feels when the curtain drops. You ever notice how fast people defend the world that breaks them? It's like they're addicted to their own suffering. Take away the chaos and they wouldn't know who they are. They confuse routine for peace, numbness for healing, obedience for purpose. But it's not living, it's surviving in a cage with invisible bars, a job they hate, a life they tolerate, a self they abandoned a long time ago. And the moment they see someone breaking free, someone tearing through the script, they panic. They call it rebellion, insanity, selfishness, anything but truth, because the truth exposes their lie. They say things like, "This is just how life is," or "You've got to be realistic." Realistic? You mean conform, compromise, shrink yourself until you fit the mold they made for you? They traded their spark for security and called it wisdom. But inside they're screaming. That quiet desperation when they wake up and the first thing they feel is dread, that cold weight that never lifts. That's not normal. That's the cost of selling your soul, a piece at a time, all while pretending you're blessed. They crave validation more than freedom. They'd rather be accepted than be authentic. The illusion is safer. It tells them what to think, how to act, when to smile, who to trust. It gives them the illusion of control while robbing them blind. And they'll defend that illusion with everything they have, even when it's destroying them. That's the genius of it. You don't have to lock people in cages if they convince themselves they're already free. Just give them a phone, a paycheck, a list of rules to follow, and 1,000 tiny distractions to keep them from noticing the bars. Ever tried telling someone they're asleep? They get angry. Not because you're wrong, but because some part of them knows you're right. Knows they've been asleep for so long, they've forgotten what waking up feels like. And waking up, it hurts. It's disorienting. It shatters everything they thought was real. But without that pain, there's no transformation. Without that chaos, there's no clarity. The illusion doesn't die quietly, it fights. It whispers lies in your ear, seduces you with comfort, begs you to come back and just be normal again. But normal is the problem. Normal is the trap. Normal is the script handed down through generations of obedient zombies, each one passing the lie like an inheritance. Go to school. Get the job, marry the partner, buy the house, have the kids, die quietly. That's the life they've sold you. The life they celebrate. The life they'll mourn when it's over, even though they never really lived it. It's a story with no fire, no truth, no you. Some people hear the alarm and hit snooze. Others wake up and smash the clock. The ones who wake up see through the noise. They see how rigged the game is, how every path they were told to follow leads to the same empty destination. They start asking dangerous questions, not just why am I here, but who told me to come here in the first place? That's when the illusion starts to crack. That's when reality, the real reality, starts leaking in, the one they never wanted you to see. This world doesn't reward awakening, it punishes it. Because the more awake you are, the harder you are to control. The less you need what they're selling, the louder your presence becomes in a world built on silence. That's why they want you quiet, agreeable, distracted. That's why the illusion is so pretty, so shiny, so addicting. But deep down, if you're still enough, if you shut out the noise for just a second, you can hear the truth breathing. It's been there the whole time, waiting for you to notice that none of this was ever real. Most people think they've got time. They think they can wait until tomorrow to make the change, to take the leap, to speak the truth burning a hole in their throat. They look in the mirror and lie to themselves every day. I'll start soon. It's not the right time, maybe next year. But deep down, they know. They know that time isn't a promise, it's a trick. And the clock, it doesn't tick for them, it ticks against them. Every second they hesitate, every breath they waste, something inside them rots a little more. The world taught them to be patient, not wise patience, not discipline, no. The kind of patience that's laced with fear, the kind that keeps them stuck, polite, obedient. Just wait, your turn will come. But it never does. The line never moves, the doors never open, and the voices that once encouraged them eventually grow silent, replaced by whispers of regret. And by then, it's too late. Not because they ran out of chances, but because they stopped seeing them. It's funny how people wait for a sign, as if the universe is supposed to send a neon billboard, flashing red, screaming, "Now's the time." But what they don't understand is the sign already came. It came in their discomfort, in their gut that twists every morning they wake up and pretend. It came in the silence of nights they couldn't sleep, when something inside them begged to be heard. It came in the faces of the people who betrayed them, in the moments that shattered them, in the tears they wiped away when no one was looking. That was the sign, but it wasn't loud enough. Not for someone still hoping to be saved. People love to dream about transformation, but when it knocks, they hide, because it doesn't come dressed in comfort. It comes in fire, in loss, in the kind of chaos that leaves you gasping, and only the brave answer that call. The rest, they cling to the ruins of a life they never even wanted, terrified of what might happen if they let go. But here's the punchline. They're already falling. The only choice is whether they fall on purpose or by accident. The truth, it doesn't wait, it doesn't pause so you can catch your breath. It tears through everything you thought you knew and leaves you standing in the ashes. That's where freedom starts, in destruction. Not the kind they show in movies, not explosions or car chases, no, the real kind. The destruction of illusions, of fake smiles, of pretending, of numbing yourself to survive a world that keeps demanding you be less. And people around you, they'll sense it. The moment you stop playing along, they'll notice. They'll call you crazy, selfish, unstable, not because you're wrong, but because your courage reminds them of their cowardice. They'll try to pull you back with guilt, with fear, with sweet words dressed in venom, because your awakening threatens their sleep. And sleep is comfortable. Sleep is easy. Sleep doesn't require truth. You've got one shot at this. One. And most are wasting it performing for an audience that stopped watching a long time ago. They're building a life they don't believe in, around people they don't trust, for a version of themselves they don't even like. And the saddest part? They call that success. They wear their suffering like a badge. Look how much I endure. But enduring isn't living. It's slow death in disguise, that they're dying every day, not from age, but from silence, from suppressing what they really are to fit into a world that rewards masks over souls. So they wait. They wait for clarity, for signs, for someone to tell them it's okay to begin. But no one's coming. The world isn't going to give you permission. It doesn't care. It will keep spinning whether you live or decay. That's why you don't wait for time to bless you. You rip the blessing out of the moment. You stop asking and start becoming. Because the ones who change everything aren't the ones who were ready. They're the ones who moved anyway, shaking, broken, confused, but still moving. Everyone wants power until they realize what it costs. Not money, not time. No, real power demands your sanity, your peace, your comfort. The minute you decide to walk a different path, everything starts to shift. And not in the way they promise in those sweet little self-help books. There are no rainbows, no applause, just silence. The kind that wraps around your throat and dares you to keep speaking anyway. Because when you step into power, you stop being liked. And most people would rather be liked than be free. They told you to follow the rules, that obedience would lead to reward, that if you kept your head down, smiled at the right moments, said yes when you meant no, eventually you'd be happy. But that was never the deal. That was the lie, the trap, the cage they built and painted gold, just so you'd thank them for locking you in it. Because as long as you're playing nice, you're predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. The ones who wake up, they learn quickly. Truth is dangerous. It burns through every illusion you ever held. It destroys the fake friendships, the shallow love, the weak ambitions you once thought were noble. And once you've seen the truth, there's no going back. You can't unsee the mask slipping off someone's face. You can't forget the feeling of betrayal when you realize the ones you trusted were only using you to stay asleep themselves. You carry that with you, not as a weight, but as a weapon. The hardest part isn't losing others. It's losing the version of yourself that used to believe in them. That wide-eyed, innocent fool who thought people meant what they said, who thought loyalty meant something, who believed love wouldn't come with strings, silence, and scars. That version of you has to die, because power doesn't come to the naive. It comes to the ones who have nothing left to lose. You start to speak differently when you know what it's like to be silenced. You walk differently when you've crawled through hell and came back with your soul in pieces. People feel it. They don't know what it is, but they know it makes them nervous. It makes them question their own reflection. And so they try to bring you back down, not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of what they've given up. You are the mirror they've been avoiding. And mirrors don't lie. They just show what's been ignored. They'll tell you you've changed, that you're cold, that you're distant. But the truth is, you stopped begging. You stopped proving. You stopped setting yourself on fire to keep their delusions warm. And now all that remains is clarity. The kind of clarity that turns your stare into a storm and your silence into a sentence. Because when you know the game is rigged, you stop playing by the rules. You flip the board. You burn the instructions. And you smile while doing it. Pain gave you the blueprint. Rejection gave you direction. Betrayal gave you boundaries. Every time you were broken, a new part of you was born. Not softer, not kinder, but realer. And that's what they fear. Not your anger, not your ambition, but your authenticity. Because a real one in a world full of fakes is a threat. You become the glitch in their perfect little simulation. The variable they can't predict, the chaos they can't tame. There's a moment when you stop waiting for love, for closure, for an apology. You realize no one's coming. No one's going to fix it, so you take the pieces they left and you build something out of them. Not beautiful, not perfect, but yours. And in doing so, you become untouchable. Because the ones who've lost everything aren't scared of losing. They know survival isn't about winning. It's about continuing, no matter the cost. And now, you walk with something most people can't understand. Something that wasn't taught in school or preached in church. Something earned in silence, built in darkness. That look in your eyes that says, I've seen too much to pretend anymore. That fire in your voice that doesn't ask for permission. That energy that makes people step back without knowing why. It's not charm. It's not charisma. It's the aftermath of awakening. The aftermath of pain you didn't run from, but embraced, dissected, and survived. When they say you're too intense, too much, too honest, what they really mean is you're not easy to lie to anymore. You see it now, don't you? The way people flinch when you speak the truth they've been running from. The way their smiles flicker when you don't play your part in the illusion anymore. They don't want real. Real is messy. Real is raw. Real doesn't make them feel safe. It makes them feel exposed. And no one likes standing naked in front of someone who's not afraid to stare. You weren't born for surface-level conversations. You weren't made to sit in rooms where everyone's pretending they're fine while their soul's bleeding out behind their eyes. You feel it, you always have. That ache beneath the laughter, that scream behind the silence. You see through it all and it drives you mad sometimes. Because you just want someone to look back at you with eyes that say, I get it. But most of them are still asleep, dreaming they're awake, mistaking comfort for peace and numbness for happiness. You tried to play the part, you wore the mask, you bit your tongue until it bled. You smiled at people who fed you poison with polite hands, but the thing about pretending is it costs you pieces of yourself, and eventually there's nothing left but a hollow echo of who you used to be. That's when the rage comes, not the kind that screams and breaks things, the quiet kind, the kind that simmers under your skin, that sharpens your edges, that turns your heart into a blade and your silence into a scream. Learn that love isn't always gentle, that sometimes it looks like walking away, that protecting your peace means becoming the villain in someone else's story, and that's the part no one tells you. They preach healing like it's pretty, like it's soft and full of sunshine. They never tell you about the isolation, about the nights you cry so hard your chest aches, about the way you lose people you thought were permanent the second you stop shrinking to fit their idea of who you should be. But you also learn what power really is. It's not loud, it's not controlling, it's not attention-seeking. It's in the way you no longer respond to disrespect. It's in the way you protect your energy like it's sacred. It's in the way your silence becomes louder than your voice ever could be. Because when you start choosing yourself, the world starts reacting, not with applause. They'll push harder, test your boundaries, try to pull you back into their chaos. And when you don't budge, they call you cold, heartless, arrogant. But really, you've just had enough. Enough of the cycles, enough of the games, enough of making yourself small for people who wouldn't even flinch if you disappeared. You're not bitter. You're not angry. You're just done. And in a world that feeds off your insecurities, being done is revolutionary. It's defiance. It's liberation wrapped in stillness, because now your presence is intentional. Your time, your energy, your love, it's earned, and most of them won't qualify. You start to notice how people treat you when you have nothing to offer. That's when the masks fall. That's when you see the truth. And it stings, but it also sets you free, because now you don't confuse attention for affection. Now you don't mistake convenience for commitment. Now you see that love isn't proven in words, but in actions, especially when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or costly. You don't chase anymore. You don't beg. You observe. You watch. And you adjust accordingly. There's something powerful about not needing the approval of people who secretly hope you fail, about walking into a room and knowing you don't owe anyone an explanation for your scars, your silence, or your standards. You've earned your solitude. You've earned your peace. And if someone wants to be part of your world, they better come correct, because you're no longer accepting half efforts, broken promises, or empty words dressed as intention.